Morning, guys. It's a Monday morning here in Michigan. It's predicted to snow about 6 to 9 inches. Of course, we'll see how that goes. We hear that all the time. It's supposed to be a certain deal all the time, and it just seems to never actually come true, whatever it is that they say. So hopefully any of you guys that have followed me for the last little bit realize that I had a little bit of trouble getting this streaming set up, but I think I finally got everything set the way it's supposed to be set. So of course there's always a chance that I could have made some errors, and we'll just have to see how that goes, right? Sound's always going to be the issue for me because I can't hear what's actually being streamed. And so I apologize if there's an issue with what the sound, how it sounds. But I do review all of these in chunks after I get done with the stream and try to make the corrections as I go. But anyways, if you just jumped on brand new, my name is Dave Bernard. I'm a 47-year-old fat man, and I'm using this Zwift app along with a Wahoo Kickr and my Raleigh Willard 2 gravel bike to work on losing a significant amount of weight, trying to get down to 244 pounds. The purpose in that for me right now is to get to that weight so I can have an umbilical surgery that I need to have, and then hopefully I'll be able to lose that weight, have that surgery, and then get back into the gym. But for now, this is what I'm up to. So the setup has changed quite a bit over the last few days. For one, I actually have a laptop in front of me now, so I can actually read your messages as they come across, because I couldn't see them the other day. So I am using Restream, which is a service that allows me to stream right now both to YouTube and Twitch. And if I wanted to pay, I could go to Facebook Live, but as it is, I'm just getting started. So I'd rather get through all of those issues without distracting some of my other followers that are out there. I think it would be just too much of a distraction for them to go through this journey of discovery or figuring out how the streaming side of it works. So I won't post to that group until I'm ready to. You can also tell that in my current physical shape, I am not in shape enough to do most of this. So I am just getting started. I can tell you it's getting easier pretty much every time I get on. And I'll also say what I had said the last time we streamed on here was, if any of you are considering doing what I'm doing, I would highly encourage it. And I mean the streaming side of it, not just using Zwift or riding the indoor trainer of whatever you're choosing. Mine happens to be a Wahoo Kickr. But the reason I say to stream it also is because it oh, I see a big problem right there. So if you were hearing me echo hopefully that just disappeared, because I just noticed that I was getting audio from 2 different sources. So that should have fixed things right there. Do apologize for it. But yeah, the distraction of streaming, in the beginning at least, for me, it actually helps. So, I mean, I'm paying so much attention to what's going on the computer and the stream itself and the chatting, and that I don't even pay attention much to the so that's interesting. So the camera itself that's on me, this is something I continue to have an issue with. It freezes up, and so I have to go back into that camera and try to fix that. And what I'm wondering is that what's messing up the well, again, we're just gonna have to keep working on this. Hopefully the problem's solved this time, but at least I know now how to deal with the camcorder if it freezes up, because that's happened in several of my streams where it's froze up, and of course I didn't know what I was supposed to do or what was causing it, and now I don't know what's causing it, but I know how to fix it. In the future, I'm gonna have to really work on that, because in the future I'm gonna be in shape, and I'm not gonna want to have to keep stopping, like, you know, it did it again. So there's an issue. Now hopefully the stream itself is actually working pretty good this time. Hopefully it seems like really smooth video. Hopefully you can hear my voice proper and all those fun things, because because I made an investment yesterday on a different computer that's really kind of designed for this. Now it doesn't mean I had the settings all right, but I did have to put everything back together. So I had to basically start from scratch on the OBS software, which is what I'm using to stream. And there's obviously something going on there that I'm between the cam link and the streaming service that keeps freezing up the little picture of me over there, which hopefully isn't too distracting for anybody, but that's coming on. But I'm probably just gonna leave it alone for a while now, until I get to a point where I'm tired and I need to take a break anyways. So as you can see, also up in the upper left hand corner, I'm barely moving. So 106 watts is garbage. And I'm not somebody that really understands how the watts all work, because was never part of my riding or training. It wasn't something I measured before. But 60 watts, this thing can go. I think there's been, you know, one of the concerns when I was doing a review on the Kickr itself was the fact that it only went up to, I think, 1800 watts. Well, then everybody kept saying for most people that would never be an issue. Well, I guarantee it will likely never. It'll never be an issue for me. So, hey Will, good morning. Yeah, I worked on it all weekend to try to get the settings correct, and unfortunately I just couldn't make it happen. So I went out and bought a pre-built gaming computer that could handle all of this. So hey, wasn't something I wanted to do, but I thought it was important to document this journey, and that's what I'm up to right now. Unfortunately, I still have some form of setting issue, because my camcorder keeps freezing up, and I know that's more than likely just a setting, because I am watching the usage on everything, and doesn't seem to be, nothing seems to be taxed out like it was on my laptop. Now I am still using my laptop now in front of me just so I can actually read the messages as they come across. But hey man, thanks for showing up again. It means a lot. As weird as it sounds, it's definitely motivational to know that people are holding you accountable to be where you say you're going to be. And in my case, it's basically 7 a.m. on my bike, and I'm trying to do that 3 days a week. It's kind of my goal right now. An hour each day. But I think that once this is no longer a concern and my body gets to the right point, I'm gonna try to do this every morning. At least in the beginning. You know, if I get to the point where I want to go to Facebook Live, I may jump on and at nighttime, but for now this works for me. I think this is a good schedule for balancing out my fitness and my work schedule and everything else. I can just wake up, get everything set up, and go. Yeah, I mean the video's great. I mean, I can tell that just on my screen alone. Now, the difference, another change is that I've only got one screen because this is a tower computer that I'm using now. But that's going to change here. This week also I've ordered a 32-inch monitor. I'm going to go ahead and keep this 27-inch monitor hooked up to it also, just to give me more. I'm used to 2 screens. I use 2 screens at work also. So, well, we are obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, apparently we're going up a hill because the effort is much harder. Well, there you go. We climbed 10 feet in the last little bit of distance, so yeah, I wish I could just get the camcorder to cooperate for my webcam and not freeze up, but hey, at least it gives me something else to work on, right? So for me, I'm not really overly concerned about how fast, how far, what wattage. I agree. It's lucky I'm not making an odd face when it froze this time. It's kind of why I'm not worrying about fixing it. The last few that it's froze on, yeah, maybe not so good, right? But this time, I can't see it that well, but it doesn't look like it's too bad. But this has been a journey, man, just trying to get to where I can stream proper and not make it a distraction for anybody that chooses to follow along. And then, you know, the other thing is I have to start, one, getting in shape to a point where I can make this truly useful for me. But, so that's one thing I have to do. But when I get to that point, I have to start getting to where I can, I have to get to a point where I can truly start pushing my training. And so the only number I'm concerned with in any of these is I'm eyeballing my heart rate. And I want to make sure that, just to protect myself, you know, that I don't stretch that out too far. It says I'm at 136 right now, which is fine. I don't want to get past 160 or too far into 160s, because every red light on the planet will be popping off if I do. So, if we are climbing an elevation, it isn't much, because it's starting to get a little easier on the ride. I did also make an adjustment on my bike. I don't know if the chain stretched or what happened, but the first few rides, it just wasn't shifting properly, and you could probably hear that grinding in the background. And so that was something I worked on. Seems to be a little better. Now, I am no bike mechanic yet. It is something I would love to do. There's a school down in North Carolina that you can go to. It's really intended for bike shop professionals, but I think that, you know, anybody that starts to truly ride a lot, I mean, they really need to understand how to make the adjustments on their bike. And I'll look around. I mean, I don't know that I have to go that crazy. Hey, what's up? I have no idea what your name is, but good morning, Japan, or good evening, I would say it is over there. Thanks for joining. I do appreciate it, and I apologize for any of the glitches that are going on in the stream. I'm a 47-year-old fat man from Michigan in the United States, and I'm just figuring all of this streaming and YouTubing and Twitching and the Wahoo all of it. Everything you're seeing, I'm just learning how to do over the last couple of weeks. So I think it's starting to turn out all right. And yeah, my you know, as far as the performance here on the ride, it's going to be terrible for a while, guys. I mean, I'm out of shape. I do need to get to where I think I'm doing it every day, because I think that'll also help me be a little more accountable to how I'm eating, because it's a big miss right now. I've lost 4 pounds since I started this process, and I should have lost well over 10, but I don't need a guru to tell me that I've been overeating. And so I definitely have to work on that. I definitely have to work on, you know, not even worrying so much about my what I'm eating. That's been an issue too. I haven't been the healthiest, not terrible, but by any standard of somebody that needs to lose as much weight as I do. You know, I've not been eating right. And again, the biggest issue for me is I'm overeating. So I've got to keep working on that. You know, late night eating has also always been a problem. So back when I had lost all my weight, and any of you that are new that are watching this, you may recognize that transformation that I had back in 2012. I was nationally recognized for it. The picture was used by several people within the company that I was using their products. And obviously, and that was a 90-day system, and I do believe in 90 days. However, I will tell you that that was not a 90-day transformation. That was an 8-month transformation. I was also unemployed at the time, and so for most of that, and so it gave me, you know, I think that needs to be said, because it wasn't like it is today where I'm working 10 hours or sitting for 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. I was able to exercise at the right time, give myself the right amount of rest, eat at the right time, you know, really put all the effort into my health. I mean, while I was still looking for a job, but it's a big difference between working the amount of hours I do now and not working when it comes to trying to get right. And in some respect, it's an excuse, because even when I started that journey, I was working just as many hours as I do now. I was committed to it. You know, I said what I was going to do, and I was committed to that mission. And I mean, if I had to wake up at 4 in the morning, that's what I did. And that motivation seems to have died off, you know, because maybe the purpose was gone. So when you see that before and after picture there on the right side of the screen, just know that though it may be impressive to you, and it's motivation for me to remind myself I can do this, it was no short-term transformation. That was 8 months of concentrated, you know, weight loss. So just want to be clear on that. Now you notice a few other logos around the screen that you don't see on your screen or other people's screen. One is Wahoo up in the upper middle. That happens to be the trainer that I'm using, so I'm using their logo here. Down close to my before and after picture from 2012 is a Raleigh bike logo, and that happens to be the bike company that I'm currently riding. You'll see OAF above the before and after. That is my company. It was intended to be more of a blog, nothing else, but so there's some, when I say company, there's some wear, you know, some wearables that you can purchase, and that system's not quite up and going yet, even though it looks like it is. So I'll let you know when it's time to purchase any of the merchandise if you're even interested. And then down there next to me where it says First Form, that's the nutritional products that I use. And for anybody that's looking to lose weight, they do have a kit that you can buy. It's not cheap by any means, but if you follow it the way that it's described, it won't necessarily cost you more money. The problem when you start going into, like, some of that system is some meal replacement shakes, and that doesn't mean you replace every meal. That, for me, that just means in the morning I'm replacing my breakfast with a shake sometimes, not all the time. And then there's other supplements that just help this process go along. Anyways, if you are interested in looking at those, you can go to firstform.com/Dave Bernard. And if you choose to purchase anything, or if you have questions, you can reach me there. But if you do choose to purchase anything, because I am one of their members, I actually will get a small commission on that. So I just want to be transparent about it, that if you do purchase from that link. But so the way I look at it is, if I'm inspiring you in any way and you want to do what I'm doing, then I don't think it's a bad thing that I might be getting a small commission off it, because it's not costing anymore. I'm also an affiliate with Amazon, and I have been forever. And so I just happen to be one of those people that actually buys a lot of my products from Amazon, not because I don't believe in local business, but because just because some of those items just aren't things that are in any of our local stores. And of course, then there's the convenience of some of the items, and maybe the laziness of me, and the fact that I know I'm paying a membership fee. So, but I do know that as a whole, Amazon isn't necessarily a good thing for our economy here in the United States. Locally, I should say. Oh, right, yeah, that's pretty cool, Will. Yeah, I mean, this whole setup, once I get past worrying about the streaming side of it and the technical side, I mean, I don't really know all the places, but London's obviously one of them. And then there's New York City. And I don't, right now, how I'm doing this, I'm not choosing any of it. It's just whatever route they send me on. And then there's the bigger world called Watopia, I think it is. And, you know, there's maps and all that fun stuff too. So, and again, as I've said before, I would encourage anybody that wanted to get into this to do so with the streaming, because it is such a distraction. I mean, I'm 24 minutes in, and outside the fact that I feel like I'm breathing a little harder this time, I didn't notice I was on the bike this long. My goal right now is just to make it an hour, and go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at minimum around 7 o'clock in the morning here in the United States, East Coast, and possibly get to where I'm doing it 4 to 5 days a week. That's the goal right now, is 5 days a week. So Monday through Friday is my goal right now, and we'll see how it goes from there. But at least the stream side of it is working much better. I mean, the graphics, the fact that I have a graphics card now is helping. Now, it's not taxing the stream, but if I went into my monitoring side, my task manager, and monitor the performance, yeah, it's definitely pushing that GPU that's on this computer I just purchased yesterday. So, but I'd say the computer was a good investment. If I'm going to continue doing this, the idea is not to have the computer or the hardware be a distraction to you, the viewer, or even myself, the rider. So one thing I will say that I've noticed, and I need to do a little research on it and see if it's a common problem, if there's a fix, but that my Bluetooth doesn't always, seems to lock up a little bit on the Kickr. I don't know if that's a common issue or not, but if it is, I'm going to eventually have to deal with that. Or maybe it's just the distance that I have from the computer, or, you know, this thing actually uses both Bluetooth and an ANT receiver if you want to, and you can put it on, you know, you can have an extended a cord to actually get it closer to the bike itself if you want. And obviously I don't have the ANT part of it set up, nor do I have an ANT receiver, and it's ANT, and I don't remember what it means, but that would obviously, or that might help this a little bit, but one step at a time, one purchase at a time. What I've always learned, or what I've learned over the years, is that there's usually a solution that doesn't involve money when it comes to a lot of these things. And you can, you're patient and you're willing to spend a little time doing some research, that there's settings that you can put in place. For instance, I don't really have any settings other than noise suppression on my microphone right now, and that's a filter within OBS, and without it you would hear some unnecessary noise in the background. And so I think that at least having that filter alone is nice. Now I have jacked the volume up on the microphone because I noticed in some of my test recordings that it seemed to be too low. So I will apologize if it's too loud. Hopefully it's not. I did forget to turn the speakers down today on the computer, so there's always a chance that that background noise might be popping through, but I don't believe it is. So again, just working through the technical side of streaming while I'm getting my body back acclimated. Do I recall the specs on the computer? I know it's an AMD, I think it's an AMD Ryzen 7, but I can't remember the GPU. So it's an inexpensive gaming computer by all specs. But it is an AMD Ryzen 7, and I didn't necessarily want to go with AMD, but I don't really understand the difference between the two. I'm just so used to Intel processors that I don't want to say that I know them better, but I'm more familiar with them. So going with AMD Ryzen 7. There was another computer that had the Ryzen 5 around the same price, but they just happened to be on sale yesterday, and that's the only reason I made the purchase. It was $350 off the price from last week. So I think component-wise, for the amount of money I spent, I did okay. It is 8 gigs of RAM. I do have, or is it 16? It's 16 gigs. It can go up to 32. So I'll eventually do that. I'd say the biggest limitations in what I bought is the case itself isn't very breathable, and so I can imagine that there may be some throttling issues because of, or some overheating issues, I should say, just because it's not very breathable. But the young man that was helping me, he made a good point. He said I can always down the road when I'm ready purchase a new case and then move the components over. At that point, I'm sure I would also buy more, whatever the top of the line compatible GPU would be at the, for my system. There's nothing wrong with what I have. I looked at the specs. It said it can do everything I need it to do, and I think you see that. Now, I did play around with the resolution on the game, which, sadly enough, I did not even realize I could do, and I probably would have solved some of my issues, and I reluctantly tested that last night, and I still had them. So luckily, changing the resolution on the game itself didn't make me regret the the purchase. But yeah, I did mess around. I could go up to, there was 2 settings. I could go all the way to 4K. There was a setting in between, I don't remember what the numbers were, and what I'm currently on is 1080p. I don't think OBS can even broadcast beyond 1080p, so I didn't see the purpose, but I did try it out, and it was stressing my system pretty. When you went to the GPU usage, I was hitting 100% often, and I knew that that was just going to be a problem. Was it crisper? Yes. So the difference, for anybody out there that's more of a novice than I am, which doesn't seem to be anybody that's watching right now, but I seem to be the dumbest guy in the room, which is okay. Sorry, I still have a little bit of that cold going on from last week. But so the difference between the resolutions of running at 4K or the other one is really the detail inside of the stream itself, or the game itself. And so where I noticed it last night was I just was looking at the hair of my avatar, and it was very pixelated the lower the resolution. So if I went to 720p, it was just a distraction. It was super pixelated. 1080p seems to be fairly smooth. Obviously, going all the way up to 4K, 4K was hyper smooth. I mean, it just looked like a drawing, and I think, to me, that resolution, I mean, if it's going to cause me an issue on the stream, then of course I'll go down to whatever works the best. But I think the 1080p is smooth enough. I don't think it's a distraction to anybody watching, which is probably, to me, the bigger concern. So I think that the video matters a little, but 1080p seems to be fine and seems to be smooth enough on the ride. And then the next piece of the puzzle is always sound, and I'm always going to struggle with that because I'm not, I can't get off the bike and make changes too much. And hey, good morning, whoever is coming in from Twitch land. I can't read it yet. I can just see you popped in. But it's definitely not something I can change on the sound if there's any problems, and I don't get to recognize it until later on when I review the stream. So sound's always going to be probably my biggest streaming nemesis, I guess I would say. But hey, if you guys just jumped on board, yeah, that's me on the left hand side, and I am froze, and I just don't have time. I just don't have time to keep refreezing or unfreezing that image. But like Will said earlier, at least I don't look too stupid this time. Last week when it froze, I was mid-sentence and wasn't actually attractive. All right, what's it say here? It says it's 1:16 p.m. So it is 7:17 a.m. here in Michigan, in the United States. And my intent is to ride for at least an hour. I'm at 35 minutes now. So I want to ride for at least an hour. Give myself enough time to cool down and then get ready for work. So that's the goal. Knock out 3 of these a week for now, and when I feel like I can, get myself to 5 days a week, and then get to where I'm actually doing something significant as far as the ride. As you can tell, I'm barely moving. My wattage is very low. My speed is pretty low. We're obviously going downhill right now because it's getting easier, or maybe we're on a flat, I don't know. Looking at the elevation, looks like we're on a flat. So, it says I'm going 19, 20 miles per hour. That's close. I mean, that's about what I think I do out in the real world. So, I have not done the spun down, or whatever it's called, the spin down with this trainer yet, which is obviously a mistake because you're supposed to do that, and you're supposed to calibrate it by doing it once a week. And I've worried so much about the well, we didn't say an hour and a half, by the way. You said an hour and a half. So I'm working on just hitting the hour now. Just trying to get to an hour of riding at least 3 days a week, moving that up to 5 days a week, and then we'll worry about whether or not I can pull off anything longer. And it's not that I'm physically couldn't go for longer, as far as my legs and my heart and all of that, my energy. It's that my ass can't go longer than that. I mean, I'm at the point right now, 37 minutes in, and it's starting to get to me. And I know a lot of people would say, yeah, go ahead and go get a new seat, do whatever, but it's just a matter of getting used to it. I've ridden a bike long enough in my life to know that the seat's not the problem. It's just my body getting used to it. So I'll get there. You know, and then I'm really going to start worrying about the training side of it, which is worried about the training side of this and really pushing my physiology. I want to get to where I'm actually doing some intervals inside of this where I'm pushing my heart rate up and then letting it rest for a little bit of time and then pushing it again. And the reason for that is that that's going to be the best way for me to lose fat. It's just proven. What does it say you did there? I don't know why it's not coming through on my laptop, but it says you did 28K race and it took you, holy cow. Yeah, see, we're not on the same level. That's awesome. I'm not there yet. I hope by this time next year, I'm still streaming. I'm still using Zwift in the wintertime, and I'm at least up to being an average rider. Yeah, I mean, the seat is, now there's a couple of cool ones out there. Specialized makes this seat, and I can't remember the name of it. And I first saw it as a review on YouTube, and then I actually got my hands on something similar at one of the bike shops that I visited last Monday. And it looks like it probably could make the ride a little better, but hey, whatever. Yeah, I want to get to that. I want to get to those group races and stuff. And I think I will once I'm done worrying about getting the stream right and all this technical nonsense. And then I figure by the time I get everything figured out on the technical side, hopefully my ass is comfortable enough to get out there and ride, you know, in one of the races or any of the other things. So it's definitely a goal of mine. I'm not saying I don't want to do it. Right now I'm just trying to ride, you know, figure out the stream, figure out all the technical sides of that, and it just happens to be a good time to get my body used to all this. If I was at a level of performance that was really good, I think I would struggle with the fact that I had to fiddle around with the streaming. It would bother me too much because it would be a distraction on the training. But because I'm in such poor condition, it's almost like the perfect timing for me to do this, to figure this side of it out, along with just getting used to the ride and the bike and the seat and the kicker and the and you know what I mean? So obviously I still have, seems like there's always an issue, and this time, as it was even the last few times, the camcorder freezes up, and it is what it is. I just got to figure out what's causing it and see if I can resolve the issue. But we'll see. That's awesome, man. I mean, I can't even on a flat surface ride at that kind of wattage consistently right now, which is a bit frustrating, but whatever. Like I said earlier, my biggest concern right now, the only number I'm really paying attention to, is my heart rate, because I want to make sure I'm being safe here too. Remember, I'm 47 years old. I am over 300 pounds. And so, though I am on some medication, I still have to be wise while I train. So if any of my friends were watching this, they'd probably say wise is an oxymoron when it comes to me. I've always been a little bit of a dumbass when it comes to things I do, where yes, I intellectually understand how things work and know better, but I ignore it and do shit anyways. So the old me wouldn't even have the heart rate monitor on and wouldn't even care. But so I've noticed this before too. You can hear that I am definitely pedaling way more than what this damn thing is saying, and it is not registering proper. There's no way. You see my avatar there barely moving its legs. I am pumping. So I unfortunately am going to have to take time and do the spin down to get the kicker up and running proper, because this cannot be a representation of my effort. It just doesn't logically make any sense at all. I mean, and we're definitely climbing right now, and I recognize that that's how the trainer's interacting with me, but it sure doesn't look, I mean, sure doesn't look like it's a steep incline, at least on the screen there. I think you'd all agree with that. So I don't know. I do have a cadence sensor that came with the Wahoo Kickr 2018 model, and it's on here. So I think it's just that I'm gonna have to do some kind of calibration that I, sad to say, have never done. And I think I read somewhere I'm supposed to do it once a week. And so once I get done with fiddling around with now that I'm solved the problem with the computer, I should say, I'm going to go ahead and start fiddling with the kicker and getting that calibrated, hopefully properly. Maybe tonight I'll do that. I think it says it needs to be riding for, yeah, it says it's connected in the settings. I don't know. It is what it is. I'll fix it. I do know that my Bluetooth freezes up from time to time. It obviously isn't right now, but it definitely freezes up from time to time. The other thing is I am using the companion app, and they're not even close to being the same. Now I think the companion app is showing my 3-second average on everything, and the settings that I have on my computer is instant. So we'll see. But we'll get there. I mean, this is all big adventure for me. I do like the distraction that I have with using the Zwift app and trying to stream at the same time. For me, that's good. I know it might be frustrating for anybody watching along, but we'll see. Oh, yeah, I don't know. If it's not showing, then I'm gonna have to work on that then. No. We'll work through all this. I just got it. Right now my goal is to make it the next 13.5 minutes. It's not, unfortunately, anything else, so I'll have to figure this thing out, man. I don't know. Oh, man. We'll get through it. I appreciate all the help, though. I promise you, I don't know anything about what I'm really doing. I kind of just hooked it up and tried to make it work. So, you guys that are out there that are experts, if you're watching this after it's over on the live, I do go back through and check comments. So, and I am running this on both Twitch and YouTube, and I know that's a no-no on the Twitch world if I ever become a whatever you call it. But whew. I lost my train of thought is what I did. But the goal is to get to where all this is working right, and then start promoting. I'm only doing it on Wolf Life. I have had a very large following on some of my other channels in the past. I've taken a lot of those videos down for various reasons. One, I don't represent some of those companies anymore, and so I know how to get this out to the masses if I want to. Right now, anybody that's come along is just somebody that stumbled upon me and has been a great help in their comments, emails, messages during the live. All of that helps. I appreciate it. What I appreciate more is my next 11 minutes and 30 seconds being over with. So I think I understand what you're saying about the my current hill or current track. It looks like it's a dirt track, which, by the way, if they knew I was on a gravel bike, maybe they wouldn't be giving me so much effing resistance, because this bike can handle it. It may not be the fastest, but it definitely goes through the dirt all right. And maybe there's a setting I can get into to tell it that too. And one thing I didn't spend any real time in is the Wahoo app, and maybe that's where I make the settings. I don't know. It is definitely getting warm in here, and I have a fan going on above me, which is helping. I do have the temperature in the house right now at around 62 degrees Fahrenheit, which is nice. Man, what the fudge? It says I'm going 1 mile an hour. Come on. So I'm definitely starting to heat up. Oh, 10 minutes, man. Let's go. Let's finish this out. I know for a lot of you guys that are in shape, riding out for an hour is no big deal. Depending on the effort you're putting out. I know you guys can go for hours and hours and hours. I'm just not there yet. You know, when I'm in not great shape, but fair riding shape, I usually ride around 20 miles each ride. Obviously, depending on which route I'm on out here, it depends on how long that takes. But it's whew. Oh my gosh, it's definitely not being represented, at least in my mind, on this app right now. And I would tell you it's a bit frustrating, but if I can knock out the next 8+ minutes, I'm just gonna keep trying to do it. You know, I'm no different than a lot of people out there that are kind of big old fat guys. I tend to make jokes of everything, especially in pain. It's kind of our deflection. So you'll find that most fat people are usually the funnier people out there. I'm not saying I'm funny. My jokes are kind of dumb, but I make myself laugh, god damn it. But hey, again, it's a deflection issue. I'd rather be the one laughing at me before you are. Makes me feel better. Yeah, man, it's a struggle. I mean, if I was really to do this well the way the charts say, I mean, the charts say that I should be at like 178 or somewhere along those lines to be considered healthy. And I know that weight doesn't matter. That's why my doctor's given me, told me to get only just to a 35 BMI, which for me is 244 pounds. But I think the reality is if I stayed away from the heavy weightlifting, I could probably get down to 220 pounds. And that's probably about it. I don't think I could get any further than that. And I think I would be fairly healthy at that, even though that's considered overweight for my height. You know, those charts are actually, I don't want to say they're wrong, but they're wrong. And the reason I don't want to say they're wrong is because I think we find reasons to give ourselves excuses. You know, but I also think that it's dangerous to think that my body type is the same as what that chart's trying to represent. Yeah, you know, when I was 21, holy shit. When I was 21, I was, in some respects, in the best shape of my life. I was playing football at the university. Probably actually had my first hernia back then because I had surgery right around that time. So I was also super thin compared to what I normally would be. So I was down to, I think, 212 pounds going into my junior year of college football, which I really shouldn't even have played that year because I'd lost so much weight. But hey, how tall am I? I'm 5 foot 10 inches. I used to be 5 foot 11 inches. And I used to be over 5 foot 11 inches back when I was probably 21. But I am much closer to 5 foot 10 these days. Some of that is compression. Injuries hasn't helped. But I am past the middle age point, so gravity just seems to shrink us as we get older. And it's not a myth. I mean, everything in your body just starts to compress. And so you do become shorter as you get older. And of course, that's one of the reasons why weight matters. Even if it isn't body fat, even if I was a low body fat percentage, but still close to 300 pounds, over time, my body would compress. Maybe not as much because of the muscularity that I had, but would definitely compress, unfortunately. Yeah, so we're about the same height. One of these days I'll throw some measurements up there so you guys can see a little bit more of what you're looking at. And you know, I'll throw my calves, my thighs, my waist, my chest, my shoulders, neck, arms, all of that. Those are some of the things that I used to measure, and so I remember the numbers on some of them. So my arms used to be, in some of the pictures you'll see out there, not this one, but my arms, I think at the biggest, were around 21 inches. My thighs were, I think, 31, 32 inches. And this is when I was muscular, not necessarily holding a whole lot of fat. But that's more genetics and training. Definitely not the goal. I think that from a body image standpoint, if I had a choice in what I looked like, you know, or who I emulated that was out there, I would much rather be, you know, muscular and thin. But I think the last time that I fit that definition, I was around 14 years old or 15. It's been nothing but bulking since then. And I remember for me, I was right around 20 years old when my metabolism finally slowed down enough to where I could start putting on the weight that I needed to play the position that I did at the university. And that's really, in football, that's all it's about. I mean, I could have stayed in the 180, 190 range, but I played at around 235. And at my largest, going into attempting to play professionally, I was in the 240s, low body fat. And it's just safer. You know, I was a fullback. I did play defensive back in college also, a hybrid type linebacker position. But it's just safer to have that weight at that high impact. The downside is that what eventually happened was my joints couldn't keep up. So I ended up tearing my knees up pretty bad towards the end. Fortunately for me, that was the second quarter of the last game of my senior year. And so outside of hopefully playing professionally, I had made it all the way, almost all the way through without any major injuries. I mean, broken bones here and there, but if you ever played hockey or football or wrestling or any of those, I would assume even European football or soccer, what we call it over here in the U.S., you've all had broken something. And that doesn't stop you from playing, or it shouldn't in my mind. And as my old coach used to say, just slap an aspirin on it and get back out there. So, I'm used to pain. Doesn't mean I'm able to perform, but I'm used to the pain. So, well, look at there. We're a minute and a half away from riding for an hour. Of course, I know I've been on the bike longer than that because it doesn't record if I stop. But we definitely have some work to do as it comes to the streaming to get the camera to not freeze up like it is right now. We've got work to do on getting the Wahoo Kickr calibrated properly. But I don't know what the sound is like today. I won't know that till I get off here, but I think we've fixed the streaming issues. Hopefully the sound is good, and we'll go from there, man. Yeah, no pain, no gain. Right on. So I think I made a good investment yesterday with buying the gaming computer. That's that was something I know I had to do. You know, I have the Strava app, but I haven't used it yet. So it's hooked up. It's in my phone. I shouldn't say hooked up. It's in my phone. I think I have a profile, but I haven't spent any time at all with it. So yeah, I'm going. Thanks, man, to push through it. Well, there we go. We hit the hour. Whew. Guys, I know it probably seems a little silly, but I appreciate you guys being here the last few streams. And it definitely is going to help me in the, you know, if I know people are coming to watch, it's going to be hard for me to miss a day. So the schedule right now, until I change it, is to ride a minimum of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at around 7 a.m. United States Eastern Time. That's the goal. Now, I'd like to get to 5 days a week, and I may even do that. So I don't know, you know, you might see me on here tomorrow, but my committed schedule right now is going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, at least this week. And I'd like to do that for the next few weeks. If I can, if I feel like that's going good, then I'll jump on more. I do need to do more than just that from an exercise standpoint. I do have a set of snowshoes that I love going out. I have about 7 miles of trail that I can go on. I have a 2-mile loop and a 4-mile loop that I like to use, that I like to go on right outside my door here. And so, though I won't be streaming those, that'll be another form of exercise. Hiking, snowshoeing, those type of activities burn way more calories than anything else that I do. And so I love being out there. I love the beauty of it. So I like to take a lot of photographs when I'm out. I'm hoping to get a drone here in the near future, so I want to get some, you know, they're just doing all those extra things besides just the activity helps keep it from being boring. And so I don't ever want to get caught up in being overly, you know, bored, I guess would be the best way to say it. But I do appreciate you guys, man. It's, like I said, it might sound a little bit silly, but it helps. It helps quite a bit, I think, to know that you guys are there. You're consistently there. And so for a person like me, it just means that it's not just about me. And I need it. So, oh, perfect, man. That's perfect, Will. I mean, so that must mean that you hit the bell, I think. So that's cool, man. So how much did I spend on my new PC? I'm finally sitting in front of my computer so I can actually read some of these messages. The laptop trick didn't work. It wasn't keeping up. So I spent, well, its price was $1,000 and some change, but they had it on sale for $350 off. So it was, I think, $649. It's an AMD Ryzen 7, and then I don't know what the GPU is. Yeah, I need to do some kind of cool down, Will, but right now my cool down involves sitting down, and because the camera's not working, I don't have to worry about you guys seeing it. So is that, so I'm trying to read you. So I'm trying to read your name here. Is it Matt Jazz? Matt Jazz? Apologize if I'm not saying it right, but I do appreciate it. I know out on Twitch there isn't a lot of people following Zwift. It's not really what it seems to be intended for. But for those people that are, you know, older like myself, I think that if they stumbled upon it, Matt Yash. I will try to remember that. Matt Yash. Thank you. Thanks for helping me pronounce that. But I think that people that are older, that are trying to get back in shape, that have stumbled upon the Zwift app, and the different trainers out there, and maybe they're even just out trying to figure out if it's something they want to do. If they stumble upon me, no matter what phase I'm at, beginning as I am now or down in the future when I'm in better shape, I think that this is only going to help them solidify the idea that it's a good opportunity to do something, at least in the winter months. I see in my professional career, I see that Zwift can be an integral part of my daily exercise or my exercise plan, because it doesn't matter what time of day it is. It doesn't matter if it's in the middle of the night. And where I live, riding in the dark out on the roads is just not a smart idea. Now, I do have some local trails I could go on, some rails to trail opportunities where the trains used to go down and now they've reclaimed them as bike paths. I think that those, I can ride at night if I wanted to, but the reality is that would be a once in a every so often opportunity. And I have done it in the past, but it's not something I'm going to wake up every single morning, head down to the trail that's, it's not far, 20 minutes or so, and get out there and ride. And though there's not any vehicle traffic on those trails, there are a lot of wildlife, and here there's a lot of deer, coyotes, and some other small wildlife that love to just sit on the trail in the middle of the night while they're eating, and so it's not even safe on the trails, I guess is what I'm trying to say, at night, no matter what kind of lighting you have or anything like that. So the Zwift trainer it makes sense, it just makes sense. Well, anyways, guys, I'm gonna do a few stretches, and I'm going to try to cool down a little bit here and do a few things, and then get in the shower, get ready for work. So thanks again for watching. I will see you Wednesday morning right around the same time, and I hope everybody has a great day. Peace.